I haven't read any of the Harry Potter books, not a word. The author of that worldwide best-selling work, JKRowling, has extended her career by writing adult books. The first a standalone, a casual vacancy, I think it was called, and now she's in the midst of a series, a mystery detective set, and she is doing this under the name Robert Galbraith, which must be for her own private satisfaction, because everyone knows that Galbraith is Rowling. It even says so on the book jacket. I decided that I would take a look at one of these, so I picked up a copy of the second in the series, the latest one out, The Silkworm. The book jacket is covered with fantastic reviews from all the best sources, and I checked some citizen reviews on the internet, and they loved it too. I wanted very much to like the book, and I expected that I would, but I didn't. There's really nothing wrong with it, and I can see why it's popular, the way Princess Diana was popular, but it's just not, as the Brits would say, my cup of tea. Why not? I don't like the detective's name, Cormoran Strike. She doesn't have to call him Ned Jones or Will Brown, but I don't like either name. Right away, it takes me out of the real world. He's also the bastard son of a world-famous rock musician and a war hero, having lost part of his leg in a courageous rescue. So the characterization, as well as the name, is laid on with a pretty heavy trowel. He also smokes cigarettes and eats Whoppers and Egg McMuffins. Call me petty. There is an incredible amount of weather in the book. There's weather everywhere. Sometimes when there's an interior scene, you think, okay, we're finally out of the weather, but the weather is banging away at the windows. In one of his books, Mark Twain wrote a preface, and he said there's no weather in this book. If you want weather, you're going to have to go somewhere else. In this book, The Silkworm, Rowling gave me far too much weather. There's the detective, Strike, and his assistant, Robin. Robin is currently in a relationship and has been for 9 years. She was going to be married, but it was postponed because his mother died. The detective had been in a relationship for 16 years with a deceitful, treacherous, selfish woman. 16 years. He finally ended it, and straight off she marries a handsome lord. There's a huge amount of story devoted to all of this, along with the relationship between the detective and the assistant, with about as much detail as there is about the weather. Readers who love this work can't get enough of this. They hang on every word, but I found it annoying, irrelevant, and repetitive. The pace of the book, with all of the furious weather and the heaving relationships, is torturously slow, as is the detective on his bad leg. Which means that the book is very long. I would say about 200 pages too long, but not too long for people who are in relationships for 9 and 16 years. The detective works the case for nothing, along with paying all expenses. He says he knows he will be paid, but he's working for nothing because his client has no money, and he admires what he calls the purity of her intention, which is to locate her husband, which is a little odd because he is, by all accounts, a thoroughly disagreeable person and unfaithful to boot. The rest of the detective's clients are rich shits who hire him to get something on somebody so they can collect more money. I'll try to be quick here. There are quotes from Jacobean revenge tragedies at every chapter heading. I get it, revenge, but I don't know what they add except to show off the author's extensive literary scholarship. It's a very literary book, about the literary world. The plot is extremely convoluted. Several people died because of literary work or literary designs. There are gaps, lacunae, in the narrative, especially near the end, where the information known to the detective is not divulged, thus preserving the mystery and, presumably, the suspense for the reader. It's a cheap trick, the selectively omniscient third person. The assistant is ravishingly beautiful, with fair skin and hair of gold. She is so attractive that it poses a problem when she tries to do field work. We are told that the detective's ex is possibly the most beautiful woman in the world, and after a very short time, I tire of reading crap like that. And this is a long book. Rowling has written an adult book. I know that because sex is mentioned quite often, very kinky sex too, though it never happens, it's only discussed. Murder does take place, gruesome, but off stage. Also, people in the book do say fuck and shit. In fact, at the end, when the detective thinks his assistant may be injured or even dead, when he sees that she's all right, he says, and I quote, "Thank fuck, ... thank fuck." An expression I've never heard. Maybe it's a British thing. The top reviewers thought it was a wonderful book, witty, gritty, engrossing, brilliant. I expect the series to go on and be a big hit. I found the book to be silly, overwrought, insubstantial, and immature. And long as well.